Okay, good afternoon and welcome back. I think we gave you a whole 8 minutes of a break or something if you've been attending everything, so I hope you took advantage of it. We are ready to go and queued up for our next session that is going to be led by our two panelists. Victor Van Dinten is with Here Technologies, and I don't know if you had the opportunity to attend our virtual conference, but you did get a little bit of snapshot of this information. We're going to dive in a little deeper this time. He's going to kick us off with Chris Elliston from ParkHub. So without any further ado, a reminder that this is being recorded and to use the chat room. And folks will be muted upon entry, but you can unmute yourselves when we get to the point where it's time to ask questions. So Victor, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Rachel, and good afternoon for most of you. For me, it's already evening, calling in all the way from Amsterdam in the Netherlands. Very excited to talk about our user journey together with ParkHub, technology that we announced last year at the IPMI conference, actually, and that we developed over a year. And very excited to give you an update. Before I introduce myself further and the company, I would like to give Chris the opportunity to shortly introduce himself and ParkHub.
Sure, thanks, Victor, and thank you, Rachel. Thanks for having us. I'm Chris Elliston, Senior Vice President at ParkHub, coming to you live from little Dallas, Texas. Fortunately, a little warmer this week than last week. But for those that don't know, ParkHub is the country's largest event parking technology provider. And we primarily provide a mobile point of sale device for event parking. And that device can handle on-site payments, scan prepaid passes, handle exempts, VIPs, et cetera. And then the back end is tracking all the activity. So we're primarily in the event space, large arenas, large stadiums, universities, state fairs, state parks, PGA events, et cetera. So happy to be here and happy to be alongside Victor and here.
Thank you very much, Chris. And before we dive straight into the topic, a short introduction for the ones who don't know Here Technologies. Here Technologies is the global leader in navigation, predominantly an origin in automotive navigation for embedded systems. So whether you have a car with sat-nav, there is embedded sat-nav still. It is likely data coming from us. We are owned by three large German shareholders, namely BMW, Audi, and Daimler, and a rest of a conglomerate of investors, amongst them Intel, Continental, and Bosch. And Here has its origin in the 80s. We were the first digitizing maps and put it in cars as embedded navigation system, way before Google, Apple, and others jumped into the mapping domain. A time ago, we were owned by Nokia, and when Nokia kind of sold off their telephone division, the mobile telephone division, they also sold off Here as an asset to the German car shareholders. We are developing maps, as you all know them, but definitely are putting a lot of effort in the new world, as we call it. E-mobility, everything that has to do with electrification, smart planning for charging, for parking. On the other side, autonomous driving, developing an HD map for cars to use a map and do autonomous driving. And that all combined in a portfolio of services on the Here location platform. For Here, I run indoor and parking, so all our global products that support indoor navigation, parking, and EV charging are under my responsibility. Today, we just want to talk about the journey that we and ParkHub made seamless and touchless. Is a journey of a fan going to a stadium, visiting a game of the Mariners in this case. And we just want to step by step talk you through this user journey and explain how our technology and the inventory that ParkHub services to us makes it a very smooth journey for each and every fan. Next slide, please. So you're at home waiting for, you're looking in the roster, what kind of games are on today. And then next slide, please. We find that in the T-Mobile Park in Seattle, the Mariners play today, and we would like to see if there's still tickets available. And then basically our first integration comes with Ticketmaster. So by opening the app and seeing the roster of games, you can log into this and then enable the inventory that Ticketmaster sells to ParkHub. And Chris, maybe you can talk a little bit about your work that you're doing with Ticketmaster. So not only integrating the APIs, but also then combining this with your parking inventory and the mobility services.
Yeah, you said it well. So ParkHub has a real-time integration with Ticketmaster. So whether it's the Access Manager platform or its Presence or soon to be SafeTix, when a fan acquires a pass, whether it's a season pass or it's a pass that was bought the week before, the day before, 5 minutes before, it was transferred 30 seconds ago, our handheld device can scan that pass and authenticate that pass to allow entry. And we provide the user data backup through our system as well as Ticketmaster as well. So we know exactly who that pass holder is that showed up. If it's a transferred pass, who the original owner was, who the new owner is, et cetera. So it's truly real time and no latency. You don't have to cut off sales. At a certain period, you can run sales really up until the event starts, or even as the event is going. So it's a truly real time integration.
Yeah, definitely, because we've based everything on SDK and microservices. It can be integrated either the Teams app, in the MLB app, in any kind of sports app where we want to advertise our inventory and where we want to guide people to get to the stadium and then ultimately experience the game there. So next slide, please. You receive a QR code to log in. And then from there go to the next step to drive. First of all, in these days do the COVID questionnaire. And maybe Chris, you can talk a little bit to this, what ParkHub developed to make the experience for the fans much safer than it was before.
Yeah, in our spare time during COVID, the last 6 months or so, we developed a few products under our ParkHub Safe brand, and one of those is a screening tool. So it was developed originally for employees, and it's now sort of migrated into fans as well. So super simple, basic questions, but at least we have some documentation of the person going through it. Make sure they pass the questionnaire properly, and we can allow entry. So it's just kind of a exterior, screening tool that we can put into place.
Yeah, and that's really useful to have that all in one experience before you just leave your home and plan to drive up to the game. Next slide, please. Where the tickets that you pre-purchased for as well the game as well as the parking will be scanned at the entrance. And maybe you can add here, Chris, that even either you have a prepaid parking ticket and have a smoothless drive-in, but still paying at the location is also an option with the ParkHub inventory at the game, right?
Yeah, for sure. So we can handle on-site payments as well as prepaid scans. So that device you see there a second ago had all the price points on it. So it's an LTE based device, so it does not need Wi-Fi, no access points needed, no infrastructure needed, nothing to download. The parking attendant just has the mobile point of sale device in their hand and can handle cash payments, credit card, contactless NFC payments, Apple Pay, Google Pay, all the wallet pays. We can handle exempts and VIPs, really the gamut. And then also can scan, authenticate that prepaid pass that Victor's alluding to.
Yeah, I think the major advantage here of the combination between ParkHub and here is that we bring this all-in-one experience. So, either when you buy a ticket for a single game or your season ticket holder, and you would pre-purchase your parking, you will get navigated from your home all the way to the parking garage and in the parking lot. That means that there is really lost meter navigation, so that you never have to look for parking or available parking. It is guidance all the way to your final spot. Also gives some advantages on the way back. You get alerted where your car is actually parked, so that some of the car park lots are massive. And if you could go one slide back, please. And from there, it's sometimes tough to find your parking spot. This reminder and also the reminder when you return to your car, exactly gives you the location of your car without having to look for it. It immediately also gives you your seat information, and then the journey in the next slide continues as a pedestrian by foot to get the most efficient way into the stadium. And I think also COVID has its impact there. That we see a lot of experiments today to implement one-way traffic so that people keep social distance, that they go into one side of the stadium and go out to the other side of the stadium, and that's really that could be dynamically or statically managed. by the location technology that we bring. So it's not only, seamlessly navigating to the venue, parking your car, doing a seamless entrance into the building, but also the navigation and the crowd management around is all integrated in this experience. Next slide, please. This is a section where, what everyone knows with the QR code, even more important today to have a touchless and seamless experience to get your entrance into the environment. And, as said, this is all integrated into the application experience that we have. Next slide. And then the journey continues within the building. So we now enter the building, get our elevator and staircase, and ultimately arrive at our destination area, where we immediately again get a COVID advisory that it is modestly occupied. While we take our seats, we can also look around what the waiting times are for food and beverages and potential merchandise. So based on the flow that we measure from all of the devices that are there using the app, we can determine how crowded certain sections are, what the waiting times are, and then we really stimulate the users to look for the most efficient, the less crowded, to keep it safe and to keep it fast. Next slide, please. When the game is then finally finished, we included here one of our new features, that is EV charging. So you can not only book the parking, but also if you drive an EV, include the reservation of a charger. The charging backend will provide us with how many kilowatts your car has been charged. Before you go back, you find your car at B45 again, and then you see the level of charging before you head back into the parking garage and go back finding your car. And in the meanwhile, a lot of activity happens. So we've been really focused for now on the user experience. So how the user gets from, purchasing his ticket or managing his season ticket, getting to the stadium, doing a safe entrance, getting all the way to his seat, experience the game. But in the meanwhile, there's a lot of things going on in the back end as well for the venue operator to make sure that he plans his parking efficiently. And that's where I guess, Chris, your tools are an enormous support for the venue owners to manage their parking traffic around the venue and around the event, right?
Right. So this is really kind of the back of the house application. So you saw the mobile handheld point of sale device that the parking attendant has. On the back end, we have a software as a service tool called Suite that's tracking all activity that's parking related in the system. So all transactions, parking attendant performance, lot, redeem prepaids, overall revenue, overall utilization are all being tracked both live and historical. So it'll give the operator a real-time look, truly real-time look at what's happening. And if lots are filling up or there's a certain amount of cash on a parking attendant's hands, we want to take the cash off their hands to some degree we can. If there's any kind of device issue, we can see that. So it's truly and this is a cloud-based system. So you just log in literally on a website, whether you're on your phone, you're on a desktop, a laptop, in this case, an iPad, and you can see exactly what's happening. So we've gone are the days where we're counting stubs and we're doing an eyeball test on the lot and we're kind of go with gut feel. It's truly now real-time data. So the handheld at the back end, works simultaneously. And, the second that a transaction happens on the handheld side, we're able to see it, on the Suite side that we call Suite. So it's kind of Google Suite looking feel. So instead of having your Google Mail and calendar and docs and sheets, you're going to have, parking widgets to dig into. So kind of endless amounts of data, both live and historical. And you can do rolled up data, you can do analytics. There's all kinds of really cool things. And it'll get smarter and smarter as we go, as the system kind of starts to learn, about a customer's, activities and revenues and, utilization rates and all that. Hopefully we can start doing some predictive and prescriptive types of things too, to say, hey, you probably should charge blank, for this event, or you should expect to see a 98% redemption rate on a certain pass. So those are all things that we'll kind of get better at as we go. But at least for now, we've got actual, and actionable, data that customers can use. And one sort of, ROI piece we've seen on this is that, take an average fan, a season ticket holder that might have, 2 parking passes to an event. Well, historically, the venue has allocated 2 parking spots, for that person. not knowing that that second pass is going to be used. Now, based on the data, we know that Chris Elliston uses that second pass 2.2% of the time. And that combined with other rolled up data, we can say, you know what, I can probably sell more parking in that lot, more prepaid parking, because almost like an airline, you're overselling a tad, knowing full well you're not going to fully block someone from having a seat, hopefully, based on the data. So we've had a bunch of our customers use this data, and it's meant thousands and millions to customers to be able to figure out, you know, what's my true utilization rate and how much can I really sell for an event. So some really good ROI, you know, tools on top of just the raw data.
Yeah, great, Chris. And you know, to sum it all up, I think the partnership between ParkHub and here brings a unique experience for fans to go to their games, to have every, you know, ticketing, parking, reservations, frictionless and seamless, incorporated with the navigation environment, and whether that is directly embedded in your car, whether you use your mobile phone in the mirroring environment, all of the steps around your journey are supported with location services. And seamless entrance because of the partnership that we have with ParkHub. I would all invite you to keep on looking in the App Store. And today we have Here We Go beta version is out. By the end of March, we will release a full version of Here We Go. And most of these capabilities will be launched in our new platform. So I would all invite you to look forward to our public launch. And you will see many of our and the ParkHub services back in our application there.
Yeah, and I would just add, Victor, to sort of the theme of this is, you know, we're seeing a lot more open systems in our business, right? It used to be very closed off, very siloed. Fast forward a couple of years, now it's very, you know, API driven. So companies like ours and yours can work together to figure out the best, you know, experience for the fan, because ultimately it's about the consumer journey, which you alluded to in your first slide. So more networked we can be. I mean, collaboration, you know, equals more innovation. So I think we're starting to see that a lot more in our space, because you have to do it. Because today I can go on to an airline site and see exactly what flights are available, at what price, when are they leaving, what seats are available down to the actual seat. We want that same kind of experience, you know, for parking as well. So I think the good news is we're seeing a lot more of that collaboration. I know Rachel and the IPMI folks see it. I'm on the technology committee. We talk about that stuff all the time, where, you know, how can we all get together and collaborate and leverage each other's databases and systems and all that. So it's a good time to be in this industry, and it's always fun to work with different companies and figure out how can we leverage each other's strengths.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, Chris. And you know, we're very, very excited of bringing this inventory and bringing this experience. You know, the car industry and the experience have been really focused on the day-to-day navigation experience. This whole entertainment fan experience has not been included. And we're really, really excited to be the gateway between offering this experience into traditional car environments as well as on the mobile platforms, to really make this a great fan experience. So yeah, thank you very much for that, Chris. And I think we're happy to get any questions here.
Yeah, actually, on that note, Victor, I got a direct message question, and it's probably better for you to answer, I think. The question is, are there any plans to link congestion management? Getting out of the event is always the challenge.
It's a very good question, and it's maybe twofold. The answer: yes, you can manage traffic in and outgoing. You know, the more people use the app, the more people use the environment in the integrated navigation, the better you get an understanding of the flow of traffic. But simply, most of the infrastructures are not built to have 40,000 vehicles leaving an event at the very same time. So you can plan whatever you want. You can just, you know, have technology in-house that is groundbreaking, but still there is limited paved roads that you know, limited infrastructure that leave the venue at that certain time. So we've been looking into, we tested that last year, into applications to offer free drinks, to offer signing sessions with the team based on the parking area where your car is located, so that we have a smoother transition, people going into the car. We've seen, you know, various P&R solutions, but, you know, still it is kind of culture or a tradition that people just straight, you know, after the game leave, straight go to their cars and just want to drive up. And then when the infrastructure is too tight, it's just very difficult to do that smoothly. So yes, there is technology for that, but it is all about entertaining people to spread the departure over time.
Terrific. Thank you so much. If we do have a couple minutes, about 5 minutes, if anybody has a question they'd like to bring up or a story they like to tell, that I enjoy that question because I remember trying to get out of an Eagles game and it took about as long as the Eagles game. So if you bring that tech to Philadelphia, we would love to see it here. Any questions from the group or thoughts? All right, very good.
I see one question here directly to me. How does HERE manage indoor navigation? How do you figure that out? I think it's a very good question. Indoor navigation is something that is built on a few components. I think the key component here is the indoor map. And in the past, we have been creating indoor maps based on floor plans. So we just got a CAD file of the building structure and then imported that in our maps and then created a map around that to navigate people around. Today, we see a more sophisticated way of mapping that either by car or with a backpack on a trolley. We use HD equipment consisting of a LiDAR camera imagery so that we really create a 3D model of this indoor space. And that basically sets it up to do more advanced services than just guidance. These advanced services are visual positioning, augmented reality overlay, so that you can use your phone and just get the arrows in the camera view rather than the traditional map screen. So there are two ways of basically capturing that map. We still support them both. Next to that is positioning technology. So how do you know where you are in this parking garage? Again, two ways of doing this. One is based on visuals, so using the car cameras or the mobile phone cameras. The other one is a very simple one, and it's a ages-old technology, which is the odometry. So we know when people lose GPS signal exactly where they are, and then just by using the odometry and some other sensors in the car, we just know how far the car is. Is it going left, right? Is it going up, down? And then basically it's a calculation of where the car is, and that puts us in the position to show the arrows at the correct time, to knowing where the car is and to knowing where you have parked the car. So that's the technologies that we're using and that are all implemented in the app, and where we these days really prefer to go on site and create a 3D model of the parking environment. It is exactly the same technology as we apply within the venue. So the venue is captured with 3D equipment, so that basically what you see in Google Street View, but then in a navigation application that we use for indoor buildings.
So another one of the questions that came up, are you seeing a big movement out of cash in the event parking world? I'm always astounded by how many people get out their wallet and get their cash out in line.
That would be a great question for Chris, right?
Yeah, that's for sure. And the answer is yes, big time. So I accidentally coined the phrase, mad dash out of cash, and we're seeing it in the event space. I think some venues were hesitant to do this because it just didn't want to disrupt the normal flow and disrupt their regular kind of guests, whether it's college football or pro sports, whatever it is. I think COVID kind of gave them that impetus and that excuse to be able to say, you know what, we can do this, not be the pioneer in doing it, not upset people, because now people are used to it in society. They go to the grocery store, they go to a retail establishment, they go wherever, and they don't take cash anymore. So parking doesn't have to be that the first ones to try it out on somebody. So 100%. And in the parking world too, and we talked a minute ago about the data. A cash transaction has no data with it. You don't know who the person was that came, and cash can go missing occasionally, believe it or not. And cash is dirty. It's got bacteria on it. You don't want to be handing stuff back and forth to people. So for a number of reasons, cash is starting to go away. It's a crawl, walk, run thing, but I think we're already in the walking stage and pretty close to the run stage. You can look and see the data from MasterCard, from Visa, from American Express. The amount of contactless payments now are close to 75%, and up 150% from where they were pre-COVID. So there's no question we're seeing it in society, and we're seeing it now in the parking space too.
Yeah, and I think that's definitely for the US space. For the European space, I think we're already running. It is contactless payments have been around for a while, and I think people just look weird if you try to pay cash. That's really the level that we are. Definitely, it took another run with Google and Apple supporting this in the phones. We're really at a level that I think we're over 95% contactless payments over here in Europe.
Wow. Rachel, I got one more direct one. What if we don't have good cellular connection in our area during event times? Good question, and a lot of people don't. So the beauty of how we do this is we use very, very little data for the transaction. So as long as you have even a half a blip of connectivity on the device, it'll function fine. And we've done the last 6 Super Bowls, for example, where we're parking 20, 30,000 vehicles, and there are 150,000 people just milling around the footprint, going to the game and just hanging out. So it has to work when cell towers are clogged up. If for some reason, and it's very, very rare when it happens, if it does go offline for a second, it still can transact. So it goes into kind of airplane mode, and we still can run payments, we still can run scans, everything else. It won't miss a beat. And then it's just basically caching the information. Then it'll bulk load it back, once it's back online. But we're talking about less than 1/10 of 1% of the time when that actually happens. So it's designed and built to work off of limited cell data.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for Victor and Chris and sharing all that and getting to those questions. We do have some more coming for you today. So please be sure to check your event guide. If I haven't annoyed you enough to go ahead and take our survey for market trends and benchmarking, we need your expertise and your insight. So I look forward to seeing you on our next presentation. Go stretch your legs. We'll see you soon.
Thanks, Rachel. Thanks, everyone.